Hello and welcome to a spooky episode of Weekly Waypoint, the show where I talk about my week and things that interest me. Okay, sorry, I'll stop. Happy Halloween. It's not really a spooky episode, we're playing Halo. What's really spooky in this episode is my gameplay, because I think this first match I'm showing you isn't too bad, but the second match, I wasn't really planning to include it. I was going to do a shorter episode today, but I decided, I've probably got enough to talk about, we'll see. A professional person would not mention a potential second match if they didn't know whether they were going to include it or not at the time of narration, but here we are. I'm in a very Doctor Who mood today. I've just spent the last 2 hours watching a video about someone ranking their favourite to least favourite Doctors. And it was a pretty good video. Who was it made by? Let me go. Let me go see. It was made by someone called Verdana. So if you want to go find that video, it's called Every Doctor Analysed and Ranked, because capital letters are always shouting. I didn't agree with all of their ranks, but it was very well reasoned. So I like that video and recommend it. I just put out a tweet about this. It's funny that I'm like the kind of person who says, I don't really watch a lot of movies because I can never find myself giving up enough time in my day to watch them. They're too much of a commitment. And then I just spend fucking 2 hours watching someone talk about Doctor Who. That's me. That's who I am. That's what I do. What did I do this week? Brain, activate, please. I bought Diablo 2 Primeval Edition because I got impatient. I've been eyeing it up since it came out, going, well, I mean, the Activision Blizzard buyout. Actually, I don't know if that was announced when it first came out, that Diablo 2 Resurrected, that is. But let's just say it did. Sorry, today's episode is a little scuffed, bear with me. I've been trying to hold out for it to come to Game Pass, but I fucking love Diablo 3. It's one of my favourite games of all time, and I've been curious about playing Diablo 2 for a while now. And eventually I was just like, it's on sale for £20. Or actually, I think the Primeval Edition was £25. So I reasoned that because I had Diablo 3 on PS4, it's one of the only games I've really wanted to move over to Xbox out of ones I haven't already, and by move over I mean buy a second time. I figure I have £5 store credit from Microsoft Rewards. It's a decent way of doing that, and it's a pretty good deal for the remaster. Heard some stuff about it, but it seems like the online issues are sorted out from what I've played. And yeah, I haven't played a lot. I've played maybe the first 3 quests. Actually, no, I'm on the 3rd quest. I'm looking for Deckard Cain. I wonder if he's an old man yet, or if that just happens in Diablo 3. I don't really know the timeline, but I will say I was kind of worried that going into Diablo 2, I would feel ostracized by archaic game design. I think that's how I mentioned it on Twitter. Oh, we should talk about Twitter in a minute. Anyway, and I'm actually pleasantly surprised. I think my time in Torchlight 2 and the old Fate games has prepared me for Diablo 2. Because I kind of I see the inventory and it looks familiar, like the way consumable potions work and the way low inventory space works and the way spells and leveling up and skill attributes work. It feels familiar to me, which it would not have done if I was going purely off of Diablo 3 experience. And I was also pleasantly surprised by how the combat feels, how the remaster looks. I looked at it and thought, wow, this is kind of pretty. And then there's like a shortcut on console. I think it's L2 and select. Don't know the name of the Xbox controls. Well, I do, but I'm not accessing much of my brain today. But you press that and you can see the old visuals. And I've never been someone who's like, a game has to look pretty or I won't play it. But man, I can tell you, if they had just re-released Diablo 2 for console, like as it was originally, I probably would not be enjoying my time in Diablo 2. That being said, I did also start Diablo 3, which was a mistake, because Diablo 3 has many more creature comforts, has many more quality of life improvements, and while I do think the less inventory space and having to manage your consumables is actually quite fun in Diablo 2, it does also get old eventually, sadly. And I guess by eventually I mean halfway through the 3rd quest, fuck me. But that is a game I will be going back to and continuing to play. I just don't know if I'll spend more time in Diablo 2 Resurrected or Diablo 3 in the coming weeks. Playing Diablo 3 again, though, definitely does. Sometimes you're like, that's scratching the itch, and then other times you're like, oh, I've done this before. It kind of depends on your mood when you play it, and this definitely feels like I've done this before. But I do, because there's achievements based around
hardcore mode, I do want to do a hardcore live stream at some point, so you can all laugh at me when I die and waste my time by dying stupidly to Diablo or something at the very end of a run and having to do it all again. But yeah, the one other thing I want to talk about with Diablo 2 Resurrected is the atmosphere is just top notch. Diablo 3 has pretty good atmosphere too, but I can see why people were upset with the art direction in Diablo 3, which is a criticism I've heard a lot but never really identified with. I still don't have issues with the art direction in Diablo 3, but I do fucking love how Diablo 2 looks and sounds and feels, and it makes me even more excited for Diablo 4 after, you know, seeing how that game looks. It's definitely kind of like harkening back to how Diablo 2 looks.
So yes, I've been spending my time in Diablo. Don't tell Roger.
Oh, and for anyone wondering, I'm playing a sorceress in Diablo 2 at the minute. I am using Icy Veins to help me build my build, although if I recall correctly, I thought I heard people say that you have to be super careful what skills you attribute and or what stats you attribute and what skills you choose, because it's literally set in its way forever. But I think there's someone in Resurrected who lets you respec in First Town, so I don't know if that's something they added in or something I've misremembered hearing. So I said I was going to talk about Twitter. Elon Musk bought Twitter, and I don't normally talk about stuff regarding, I hate to say politics, because it's not really politics, it's more how I feel about billionaires, but for those of you who don't know my quote-unquote politics, yeah, I'm not a big fan of billionaires. This man could have ended world hunger and decided to buy an unprofitable company for $44 billion instead. This is relevant to me because I'm someone who's been using Twitter since July of 2008. It's been part of my life since I was 13 years old. I think I have over 50,000 tweets. I took a break from it earlier this year, and to see what I would feel like just without Twitter in my life. And while it wasn't exactly difficult to leave, I definitely felt a sense of I definitely have lost a platform to just voice my thoughts, like my just kind of general passing thoughts, and more importantly, it feels, my favorite thing about Twitter, because everyone regards it as like this hell site, and it is, but you can not follow certain places and you can filter words, and I think a lot of people, while Twitter does have its issues, a lot of people don't tailor it to them as much as they could. You know how people talk about how the news is all doom and gloom, and you say, well, stop watching the news, and they go, I'm like, well, but I've always really liked Twitter as kind of like this just hub of what my friends think about things and are saying about things, and I would hate to lose that, but Elon Musk has bought Twitter, so it is inevitably circling the drain, and he's already, one would assume it's his decision because he bought it 2 days ago and now we've got this, but it's been announced that they're going to start charging £20 a month to have the blue verified check mark. So yeah, this website is absolutely circling the drain, no doubt about it. And I guess, I've got this YouTube channel where I make the Weekly Waypoint. Maybe these Weekly Waypoint episodes would become more of a potent platform of me expressing my thoughts if I didn't already express my thoughts on Twitter. Problem is, I have 200 followers on Twitter and these videos get 5 views a week, so maybe less potent platform would be the right way of saying it. But yeah, it fucking sucks. I mean, I'm not exactly planning to quit Twitter because Elon's bought it, but I do think that Elon's decisions are going to probably force a lot of people I like off the platform, and inevitably me. Apparently there's already been a massive rise in horribly racist trolls coming back to Twitter because Elon has declared that quote unquote, well, I don't know the exact quote, but paraphrasing, he said something like good jokes are now legal again or some stupid shit like that. Can you tell I don't like the man? So yeah, who knows? I'm just kind of annoyed that we haven't as a collective decided on an alternate place to go to in the meantime. It definitely feels like people are just kind of going poof and quitting and leaving, and we're just never going to have this kind of community area again of people's thoughts and opinions, because Facebook is out, obviously. Instagram is more picture related than anything else, but I guess it's the closest we've got to that. But I saw some sort of drama earlier today about Instagram banning people who are using multiple accounts, so that I think Instagram's got its own problems over there. I don't really use it. If anyone's got a good alternative to Twitter, let me know, but I feel like I would know it by now. So yeah, it's disheartening. I want to download my tweet archive because, it's somewhere that I've put my thoughts for the last fucking 12 years or whatever. No, 14 years now, Jesus Christ. So that's a lot of you know, kind of like quote-unquote biographical resource for me. Like, if I'm ever going to write memoirs or some shit, it would be good. But also, it might just be nice to have. But I have tried that in years past, and it gets like halfway through downloading and then just gives up. I think my file might be too big for their servers or whatever, which is concerning. But I think I'm probably one of the only people who values their account on that website. Like, I saw a tweet earlier which I did agree with, which is like, imagine thinking that this website means something, and that's obviously a dig at Elon, who's gonna be like, people are gonna stick around while I do stupid shitty things. And yeah, I'm definitely not, but I do definitely like value my time there. Well, I mean, I guess that's not the right way to say that, because I just said I don't. I don't know. Complicated, mixed feelings. Nuanced feelings. Two things can be true, and that's something that we still struggle with on the internet, isn't it? In regards to what I talked about in last week's episode, Malcolm in the Middle... Whoa, okay, I'm not sure what just came out of my mouth. Malcolm in the Middle. I haven't actually watched any more episodes of that, but that's definitely going to be... I guess, I don't really know the viewing habits of everyone, but I guess a lot of people probably have series on Disney Plus, which are just like, you very slowly make your way through it over the course of years. Like, I know I'm like that with Futurama, where it's like, I am watching it in sequential order, but because sequential order doesn't necessarily matter, there's not like an overarching plot or anything, you just kind of slowly make your way through it whenever you're like, I feel like watching a Malcolm in the Middle episode right now. So yeah, it's not like a long-term viewing project that I'm going to make thoughts on videos about or anything like that. I think I pretty much said as much last week though. But also, I've watched one more episode of Cyberpunk Edge Runners. It's a really good anime. I just keep forgetting to continue watching it. However, Star Wars Tales of the Jedi came out last week, and I binged that entire thing in one sitting, baby. We got some Ahsoka lore, which I didn't think I needed, but it was actually a really fun kind of like... The first episode is like her quote-unquote origin story. She's literally a fucking baby. But it's like a nice short story kind of thing. And then the last two episodes are kind of like... One of them's like a nice addition to what we know about her from the Clone Wars, and the other one kind of continues her story from the end of the Clone Wars a little bit. So that's really nice stuff for people who care about that series, which I do. Go fucking watch the Clone Wars. Look up a guide of the essential episodes, maybe, because there is some... I don't want to say filler in there, but... I didn't really need to watch a war between the Gungans and the Druids, thank you very much. But there was also some Dooku lore, and Dooku has never felt like a character that's had much of a character arc before. Now he does. I won't spoil anything, but all I'll say is Dave Filoni and the animation team at Star Wars continue to make the prequels better than they should have been. So I've had my complaints about Count Dooku in the past, and they have been addressed in ways I didn't expect, but in retrospect probably should have expected when this was announced. So I'm really, really happy with Tales of a Jedi, and I hope they do more with it. I still haven't started Andor. I've heard really good things from people who didn't even like Rogue One, and I didn't like Rogue One, which is why I haven't started it. So I need to watch Andor. Also, House of the Dragon has ended. My thoughts on that has already obviously happened, but this is the first Monday that I'm recording where we haven't had a House of the Dragon episode, and I miss it already. I've really been getting back into the world of Ice and Fire in terms of like listening to that Game of Thrones Abridged thing I mentioned last week, listening to lots of GRRM interviews. Don't know why I said his name that way. Kind of weird to say it the way it's written. From now on, I shall call him Gurm. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to, as well as the usual RuneScape, Overwatch 2, Halo Infinite, Combo, Wombo, Jumbo, Dumbo, Mombo thing. The last thing I want to mention is that programming, for want of a better term, may be a bit sketchy. I mean, yesterday's episode was already kind of like last night's episode of like Halo Infinite shenanigans or whatever that Sunday video normally is, and I'm assuming today's video went up later than normal, kind of because I'm like, do I really want to do them? Because I've got some stuff going on in my personal life. I've got a relative who's very sick, so and they're not going to get better, so making videos brings me joy, which is why I'm kind of still doing this, but the main thing I want to address is me reading through Birth of a Killer, those videos, the thoughts per chapter episodes I've been having lots of fun with. I was planning to make a lot more of them at a better pace, I guess, but you know, I'm kind of just trying to zone out as much as possible and occupy my brain with things, which is probably why I watched that 2-hour video about Doctor Who earlier. So yeah, I'm doing okay, but you know, I'm kind of being more of a vegetable than a creative machine right now, so output might be lessened. I'm still planning to do my Halloween stream tonight, so I don't know the timeline of uploads, if this is going to come out before or after or during I'm doing it, so but my plan is very much still to do that, because spooky season only happens once a year. But anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you very much for listening. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you got something to say, leave a comment. If you want to see more, subscribe. And I will see you in the next one.